Welcome everyone to the City Council meeting for Monday, July 24th. We could have a roll call please to establish quorum.
Bob Thomas?
Here.
Terry McClung?
I'm here.
Mickey Schneider?
Here.
Christy Kendrick?
Here.
David Mitchell?
Here.
Peg Adamson?
Here.
We have 6.
Stand beside the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody have anything?
Yes, sir. I have a couple items. One is a referral from planning that they would like to put back to the topic, zoning request at 42 Prospect. Melissa here can give us more of an update at that time.
38 Prospect.
Was it 38 or 42?
38.
38.
Yeah.
Wrong address. 38 Prospect.
Okay.
Second.
Put that under unfinished business.
My second one is topic is council meeting minutes process.
A second.
Be under new business.
And my third one is based on observing various behaviors, or maybe over the next month, I want to delete unfinished business number 1, code of conduct, as it relates individually to council members Mickey Schneider and associated behavior of City Clerk Armstrong.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I was wanting to add discussion with the city council and grants, but I wanted the city attorney to be here.
I have no idea.
I'll just wait till next meeting then.
Okay. Anything else, anybody? If not, get a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. All right. Approval of minutes for June 12th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Kendricks?
I would like to make a comment about that. I'd like to reiterate my concerns with the proposed June 12, 2017 minutes. When I first objected to those minutes, I was particularly interested in 2 issues discussed at that meeting. One was the smoking ordinance, which, because it passed despite the clerk's failure to accurately describe the motions relating to that ordinance in the June 12th meeting, I will not go into here. The other issue was the codification of the City Council ordinances. In the proposed June 12th minutes, the clerk noted that, quote, Mr. Weaver noted the law is not the code book, but is the ordinances passed, close quote. The clerk did not note that I contradicted the statement by the city attorney by reading Arkansas Code Annotated 14-55-703, which states, in determining the content of any ordinance so codified, it shall not be necessary to go beyond the code. The code shall be admitted in evidence without further proof and shall be prima facie evidence in all courts of the existence and regular enactment of each particular ordinance contained therein. Instead, the clerk simply noted that, quote, discussion followed about state law. By including Mr. Weaver's comment but failing to include my comment, the June 12th minutes would lead one to believe that my concerns about the codification of the city ordinances were petty. In fact, the city code is the statement of what the city laws are. Though the online code and the copy of the code supplied me state that the code was updated May 15, 2015, in fact, the last ordinance that was added to the online code was before September 2014. It appears that none of the ordinances that were passed by the City Council during the current City Clerk's tenure have been incorporated into the online city code. Those ordinances include, but are not limited to, 2220, which includes the makeup of the CAPC, 2223 and 2228, which is the Civil Rights Ordinance, 2229 concerning liquor sales, 2234 concerning water rates, 2236 and 2237 concerning home occupations and zoning, 2239 concerning fire and EMS fees,
Ms.
22...
Kendricks, I don't want me to interrupt you, but we're talking about the minutes,
Yes, we are.
and those weren't things that you were talking about.
Okay, I'll go past those ordinances. I will say that about a code, in order that a law obtain the binding force which is proper to a law, it must be applied to the men who have to be ruled by it. Such application is made by their being given notice by promulgation. A law can bind only when it is reasonably possible for those to whom it applies to acquire knowledge of it in order to observe it, even if actual knowledge of the law is absent for a particular individual. A secret law is no law at all. Why then, since 2014, have we been passing ordinances?
And
They
Ms.
have-
Kendricks, we're dealing with the minutes,
And the minutes-
not regarding what you're wanting to do with the codification.
Okay.
I mean, if we got, that's,
I have more, okay, I have more to say about the minutes. What is even worse about what the proposed minutes say is that the approved motion regarding this issue was, or what was even worse is what the approved motion, what the minutes say it was. They say, Mr. Mitchell amended the motion to include taking $1,000 from legal services and a timeline for the budget. I don't know what that means. It certainly wasn't what was said. In fact, Mr. Mitchell moved that, quote, the clerk established a timeline for further codification activities to bring it back to council for the budget. Robert's Rules of Order 48 state that the official proceedings of the official record of the proceedings of a deliberative assembly is usually called the minutes. It is the official record of what happened in city council. If the minutes are approved, and I later argue that that was not what happened, I would have no leg to stand on.
it-
The,
okay, we've got a motion to approve the minutes or not. I mean, are you wanting to correct?
I'd like to-
Are you wanting to correct the minutes?
yes, yes.
I mean, I know you submitted some stuff here, and we can go ahead and adopt this if you want, but I don't think you need to go into rationalization or justification of what you're doing, because we're really dealing, I think this falls under what we're talking about later on.
What
regarding the minutes.
What I'd like to say is that in the June 12th minutes, there is much that was said, and it is very one-sided, and that is not supposed to be what's in the minutes. What is supposed to be in the minutes is what was done, and that, too, is inaccurate. And I have submitted a red line of minutes that I believe are accurate reflections of what actually happened in the meeting. I watched the meeting several times on video and made sure that I got it correct. And I have included in that packet those revisions, shows the red lines, and I would like to highlight what are highlighted in yellow in particular were the motions that were wrong as to what happened and that I had corrected. And I would like to move that the minutes be amended in accordance with the revisions I passed out at the June 26th meeting and again, which I have passed out again today.
Mr. Thomas?
May I
Oh,
a second?
We do need a second,
I'll
I'm
do a
sorry.
second. Or we can move.
Well, I have 2 points. The first one is on your amended minutes, you, under public comments, you say, Mr. Jasinski spoke. That's all you want there. At our table 2 weeks ago, you wanted, when a woman had spoken, you wanted her remarks expounded upon. Now, and the other point that I'd like to make is when Mr. Mitchell was, and he's a proponent of these, following the Robert's Rules of Orders, And yet, at our very last emergency meeting, he read a 3-page document, and he started out by saying, I want this entire document included in the minutes. I mean, to me, we're just saying, we'll do the minutes the way you guys want them, and you've got to be consistent. Otherwise, whoever is doing the minutes would go crazy, not knowing what to do.
Ms. Schneider?
A couple of points for people to think about. Robert's Rules came out long before tapes, DVDs, YouTube, and everything else. If people need or want, and I am talking right now, our council and our town, people want any expanded information on exactly what was said or how much was said, they can get the tape, they can watch it on TV, they can do it on YouTube. There are innumerable ways for them to get it without us sitting here as we are now, 10 minutes worth of wasting the citizens' time. That's Robert's Rules in regards, we're not going to sit and do minutes word for word. Number two, that I am astounded has gone on for several weeks now by a so-called attorney. The fact that you brought in minutes, she brought in minutes, saying that what Ann had written up was wrong, and therefore you're going to take these minutes, and these are the ones that are right. I'm sorry, we had no tape to watch, we had no YouTube, we had no audio, we had no way of proving who had the better minutes. Had they been brought up and said, yes, that was an evil fly. Had they been brought up and said, I would like to have this submitted before we approve, so at the next meeting everybody has time to look at, read, and decide which way it should be. That is the way it should have been done, not demanding that the one way was the only way.
Ms. Kendrick?
I passed out these revisions that are in your packet as soon as I got the June 12th minutes. You've had these now, I believe, for over a month. Bob, I would like to point out that before I did ask for an elaboration, I said first that I believed that it really didn't belong in there at all, but if that it was going to be in there, I wanted it to be accurate. And I also would like to point out that it has been said that I should have gone to talk to the clerk before all of this. The clerk has essentially said...
We've got the motion. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I think everybody does. Ms. Adamson, did you have a comment?
I did make a call to Dave Schoen at the Municipal League and talked about the minutes issue. The request was to keep them simple, basically. But if we're voicing opinions about the minutes, my opinion is that when I read this, the parts that you've redacted from here, I know what happened, and that kind of narrative is good. And I mean, are we going to discuss this later?
No, we're trying to approve these minutes.
Okay.
This is all this discussion is.
Okay.
Later on, Mr. Mitchell's got on the agenda how the council would like to see the minutes done. All we're trying to deal with are the minutes right now. I think Ms. Kendrick's had a motion, if I'm not mistaken, about submitting
Amending the minutes with what she submitted.
Right, and there was a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any further discussion about her submitting those minutes? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed?
No.
Okay, 4-2.
2-4.
2-4. All right. Do you have any other motion regarding these minutes? Does anybody want to approve these minutes?
We already have that motion.
We did?
I made it.
We got to do the next one.
I made the motion to approve the minutes
Of June
first.
And I
Then
seconded
the
it.
motion was made to amend them.
Correct?
You're right. You're correct. Okay. All those in favor of the minutes, approving the minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay. 4-2.
4-2.
Minutes pass. All right. Minutes of June 26th. Do I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, June 26th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
4-2. All right. I need a motion to approve the minutes for July the 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Yes.
All right, 4-2. Those minutes pass. All right. Regarding Planning Commission reports and terms, Planning has position 4 is vacant. So anybody out there who would like to submit an application for the Planning Commission, please do. We've got a good commission and they're working well, and we've got a lot of work that needs to be done still. Got a position on the hospital also that's vacant. And cemetery position, we have one position vacant, and we've got a submit. We got 2 people submit.
No, we have 2 open positions.
2 open positions, but L.B. Wilson has submitted an application to be on the planning committee, or on the hospital, on the cemetery commission. I'll get it out right. Mr. McClung.
Being that the cemetery commission is what it is, and in need of a couple of bodies at this particular time, and on their commission, and LB is a lifelong resident of Eureka Springs, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve LB Wilson
And I'll
for
second
the
it.
cemetery commission.
I will say that LB has been, his family's been lifelong residents. They have several, at least a couple of plots out there I know of. And so I think he would be an excellent person. He's a former high school coach in Eureka and been around. He's retired from Eureka School District. So anyway, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor of LB taking position 2, I guess, at the same time. All those signify approval, signify by saying yes. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. LB, congratulations if you're watching. If not, we'll notify you in the morning of what you got into.
Can of worms.
And the Cemetery Commission's been doing great. So, public comments.
I'm Joyce Knowles. I live at 2 Spur Lane here in Eureka Springs. So, if the mayor or police judge, member of the city council, shall willfully and knowingly fail, refuse, or neglect to execute or cause to be executed any of the laws or ordinances within their jurisdiction, they shall be deemed guilty of nonfeasance in office. This city council and mayor willfully, knowingly fail, refuse, or neglect to execute or cause to be executed Ordinance 2116, a.k.a. the Sidewalk Ordinance, and Ordinance 2223, a.k.a. the Fairness Ordinance. They fail to protect and safeguard the right and opportunity of all persons to be free from the unfair discrimination based on disability. They fail to supervise public works in a manner that would cause them to form a sidewalk committee to survey the entirety of Eureka Springs rather than just the historic district. They fail to supervise public works in a manner that would cause them to list properties by address rather than nebulous terms like 119 feet from 175 Spring to the boardwalk, making it difficult, if not impossible, for the building official to cause a printed or written notice to be served on the owner of the premises specifying those repairs. Subject to fine of $25 for each offense in each day if any person shall neglect or refuse to repair or build said sidewalk. Cause the sidewalk to be repaired within a reasonable time after the expiration of the notice. Report the expense to the city council. Assess the cost of such improvements against the property. Present the assessment as made by payment. Proceed to collect the amount by law and also lien on the lots of property. These are city council violations of just 2 of the existing city ordinances which are disregarded, along with the existing federal law, the Americans with Disabilities Act. These provide access for the disabled, and I urge you to take another look at them. You thought they were important when you passed them. We still think they're important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eric Knowles, and I reside at 2 Spur Lane in this city. I'm here tonight to revisit the water sewer rate problems. I know you think that this issue is settled and moved off the agenda because you passed Ordinance 2255, but it is not. It is a continuing and escalating problem. Your ordinance created unfair and probably illegal burdens in at least 3 ways. First, the ordinance created a new fee that will be used to pay the sewer bond. It is applied to all water accounts, but fully 1/4 of the water users are excluded from the sewer system. These users are being asked to pay for a service that you will not let them have. Second, the ordinance continued unreasonably high water rates. The water bills so far this year are bringing in 144% more revenue than it costs to provide water to the users. These are usury rates and grossly unfair. What will you do with this extra revenue? It will go towards paying off the sewer bond. This is a serious problem for the 25% of customers excluded from the sewer system, but still asked to pay for this sewer bond. The water rates need to be adjusted downward. And third, you set sewer rates too low to pay for the sewer service. Revenues will not cover the sewer service and the sewer bond payments. The sewer bond payments are back-end loaded. The bond payments get larger as the bond matures. The sewer bond payments have always come out of the year-end cash reserve. They've never been otherwise planned for. The city reserve used to be a lot of money, over $2 million. Back in 2008, the sewer bond payment of $23,000 made only a small dent in the reserve. In 2017, the bond payment of $350,000 will far exceed the available cash reserve. Sewer rates need to be adjusted upward to pay for this service. I urge you to study, to understand, and to deal with these sewer rate inequities and problems in a proactive way. You can do this by putting these issues on your agenda now and keeping them there until you create a water sewer commission who will keep on top of these issues for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Jasinski, 46 Hillside. I agree with speaker number 1, mostly with speaker number 2. If it'll make you feel better, Fort Lauderdale just paid out almost $1 million due to broken sewer lines down there because somebody turned off one valve too soon and increased the pressure too much. The cost of fixing the sewer and water pipes in Fort Lauderdale was estimated at $1.2 billion. So if that makes you feel better, I hope it does, because compared with other cities, you're not that bad off. But I would like to address, and I have 2 handouts here, that, because I don't have enough time to address everything, it has to do with the proposed changes that planning is making to the zoning ordinances, and particularly with regard to bed and breakfast. They want to change the definition. I say leave it alone. Every time they change the definition, as you can see from my notes here, that you have unforeseen consequences when you make a change. For example, as the definition now stands, a bed and breakfast can serve meals. If you take out meals and say they can only do breakfast, are we going to get in trouble if we serve the guests a fruit and cheese basket or chocolate-covered strawberries? Because if you look at the definition again, going back to the dictionary, that constitutes a meal. You serve chocolate chip cookies and milk, are you going to get in trouble? That's why I say leave the definition alone. It's fine as it is. The other thing has to do with, I'd like to point out too, with the change too, with the owner and the manager having to, pledge their allegiance by saying they are permanent residents of the city of Eureka Springs. What happens like when an owner, as we do, we go away in the wintertime and we hire a in-sitter, to manage the property. Obviously, an in-sitter who's there on a temporary basis is not going to be a resident of the city of Eureka, not necessarily, and reside in the house on a permanent basis. And these are the unintended consequences that, I think that should be brought up, and bringing it up now because it might not be here. There is going to be a workshop. I don't have time. And I also handed out the former, as I handed out before, the opinion of the city attorney with regard to the weekly rental issues. Now, the planning also wants to put a definition in the code for weekly rentals, which in effect, and the title of it is weekly rental tourist lodging. And as the city attorney wrote in his opinion that he handed out, or didn't hand out, that I handed out several weeks ago, weekly rentals are not supposed to do tourist lodging. He wrote an opinion saying that they should be cited, they shouldn't be grandfathered in other words. If they're operating illegally, you can't grandfather them. And here's the irony in the code. In one section, you're rewarding people who are operating illegally, and you're going to punish those people who have bed and breakfasts that are operating legally. And as I said, I don't have time to address all of these issues, and that's why I have two handouts here, if you care to look at in your spare time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. James DeVito, 5 Center Street. Every now and then it's good to look up from what you're doing and see what's going on around you. And I'm quite concerned about the state of Eureka Springs and who we are as a community. I feel the identity of this community is being threatened by the lack of housing in our community. I would like for Council to entertain the idea of capping all tourist lodgings and B&Bs in residential zones. Every time you approve a CUP, you are in essence spot zoning in residential zones. This eliminates the ability for low-income residents to find affordable housing in this community. It makes it difficult for families to find housing in this community. You have a brand new $10 million school that is threatened with a lack of students to provide for it. The fabric of this town is who we are as a community, and I feel it's what brings people to this community. I have a number of books, everything from Funky Town USA, to which we're prominently featured, to all the things you see on Facebook where hippies hide out. This is the nature of who we are, and I feel it is something that draws people to this community and distinguishes us from other communities across the country. We're in peril. For the first time last year, I saw help wanted ads throughout the year. They're back again. People are not finding people to work in the businesses. We do not have the ability to grow and prosper as a community if there is not enough housing in this community. I beseech you to cap the intrusion of commercial ventures into residential areas. It's a big threat. And Mr. Mitchell and Mr. McClung know what's happening vis-a-vis the CAPC with these properties. They have been in decline for years. When you cap the number of B&Bs, you don't have to go through this protracted fight, which I've seen at the Planning Commission. All you have to do is approve who the people are that are taking over this property. These properties have already been vetted in the community. It's an easy solution to a difficult problem, and I do not understand why we as a community are unwilling to address it. Time is running out. It may be past time. I encourage you and I implore you to look at this issue and do what's right for this community of Eureka Springs. We lose our identity, we lose our draw as a community. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
I'd like the newspapers to start looking into these things.
My name is Kimberly Clark, and I just wanted to share real quickly all the people that have spoken before me. I have some big agreements with, and I didn't quite understand the last one because I thought Jim DeVito was for weekly rentals the last go-around. But at any rate, housing is certainly a big piece to me. But the biggest concern is that I have a lot of people who come through here visiting, stay with me, and it's so embarrassing to have the kind of thing go on that goes on in Eureka Springs. What's in the paper? We want to build this city. We had people from Little Rock this weekend who've known Eureka, in fact, invested in the very first bed and breakfast here. Jean Gordon helped Ned and Crescent get that Dairy Hollow house going, and she said, I feel like Beverly Crock, that we wanted to do something good, and now it's turned out to be this nightmare. many years later. And that's what Beverly Crock said about McDonald's, that they wanted to be able to have things go a little faster, not have to sit 20 minutes to wait for a hamburger. This guy had a great idea about his malt machine, and she said, now I get accused of deforestation of the rainforest, and gave all of her money to our International Peace Program because she saw the error of her ways. And so I really want y'all to give some real thought about that little pebble you put in the water and where all those ripples go out. And we have really good people that live here and really good people at this table, and there's not any need for us to do this. So I'm just encouraging that learn some nonviolent communication skills or look at what's happening in Bentonville. It's just, it's really interesting when you look and see what's happening there and what's not happening here. But I'm still going to try. So thanks.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Thanks, Q.
Okay, thank you. My name is Susan Porter. I live at 38 Pine. I've owned my property for about 12 years, and I've been coming to Eureka Springs for about 50. First of all, I'd like to say Mr. DeVito is very correct in everything that he said. I did a lot of studying on the proliferation of B&Bs. Please let B&Bs come to Eureka, but keep them in the commercial zones. Preserve our residential areas. So that's one topic. The next thing, what I really came here tonight to talk about is the auditorium. I would like for you all to open up your mind and say, let's move this meeting to the auditorium. We've heard about the ADA problems here. I hate looking at the back of your necks or sitting on that bench every time I want to come to a city council meeting. The auditorium is a huge space. If it were an employee of the city, it would probably be fired because it's not producing. We're losing money. Our tax money's doing it. So I would ask you to look at that space and perhaps hire a space planner to see where over there we could make it ADA compliant and if we could meet there. If we don't have the money for that, can we just move you guys to the stage and can we sit in the audience on Monday nights? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that it? Anybody else in the room? All right. That closes the public comments then. New business, motion to discuss the 2016 budget cleanup resolution. So move.
Second.
All right. Lonnie, Lonnie, you here somewhere?
No, he went home.
Sitting back there. All right. All right, we got any comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Well, I did ask in an email about the Fund 62. Can you explain that to me and why it's missing from the budget?
I will explain that to you. The Fund 62 is the district court, and those are court fees that are collected, and then they're remitted back out to the county, to the state, and some to the city, and we don't know, we don't have a clue how many court cases are going to be up there, so there's not a budget prepared for it, and all the fees go out, and the $47 that you see that's net in there is interest income from the bank account.
But shouldn't it just be shown? It's in our monthly budget printout. It is a department or a fund or whatever. So, shouldn't it be shown in the cleanup resolution?
Well, the $47 is committed, I'm sure, to, it's not for our use, but it's not been in there We account for it, but it's not really our funds. So it's court costs.
Actually, I ran the figures this weekend, and I was hunting at $47 for hours, and I kept going over it and over it and
It's
over.
right up there in the interest income.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Correct me, but when, Thursday, we're having budget, is that different from this?
This is a cleanup from last year.
Okay. And
This is your balance.
we have to
that's it.
decide on it now?
Yes. This is, well, we don't have to. We don't have to do anything, but historically, we've always come in, this is the final,
I understand.
this is the end of 2016's checkbook, you might say.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this is where the money came in, where it went out, and this is the balance. We start off with our budgets, but our actuals never what our budgets
Exactly.
are. So
No, I
this is,
understand that, yeah.
so this is where we come with this.
Right.
One reason that we need to get it done is we need to do it before the state auditors come in because these adjustments need to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're expecting them at any time, so.
Just at first glance here, and you've been working with it, what do you think is the biggest problem with the budget right now? One area or, no?
That's a budget issue. What we're doing here is we're talking about last year's budget,
Yeah,
the checks and balances.
okay,
So this is where,
gotcha.
you know,
I still was curious about what he thinks is a
well,
problem.
we're going to be dealing with that this week.
All right,
Yeah, we can ask that question.
All right.
Mr. Thomas?
So we have a surplus or revenues over appropriations of $600,000.
The revenues on the budgeted amounts were $600,000 more than the appropriations,
Okay. On the budgeted amount.
approximately.
Okay, what about the actual?
Well, that is the actual.
Oh, okay. We have budgeted and cleanup. So
Well,
then-
you have a sheet there that has the comparison like you asked for.
Right.
And down at the bottom, 599,
So
576.
then, after you make that $300,000 bond payment, is there going to be $300,000 going into the reserves?
Probably not.
How much will be going into the reserves?
I'd have to check it. See, there is money going into the reserves, but I would be hesitant to say right off the top of my head because you can look at the cash balances that you get every month and tell that they are increasing.
Right.
Well, correct me, Bonnie, if I'm not mistaken, but right now, what we're doing is we have this is our $599,576 is our extra as of January 1.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean,
I missed that one word. It's
as in
our-
January 1,
No, you said it's our what as of January 1?
it's our balance, it's our reserve. Now, January 2, we may have spent $300,000 of that, but as of January 1, this is the balance that we had in extra
For the 2016 budget.
for the 2016, correct.
So did we, for the year 2016, did we have a $599,576 surplus?
On the cash basis, yes.
And we're going to pay out $300,000 on the bonds, $350, whatever it is. Approximately.
I don't recall what they are, but they're throughout the year.
Well,
But we report, Bob, on the cash basis for the city. It's actual money that came in and actual money that was paid out. So anything laying out there that I don't know about in accounts payable, or the same is true on accounts receivable, is not in this.
Correct.
This is strictly on the cash basis. And like the mayor said, that's what the revenues exceeded the
Is there any
appropriations.
way that an average person could understand how much the city made or lost in 2016?
Cities and government entities are not in the business of making money.
Well, revenue minus appropriations. Is there any way that, what does that mean?
Well, you have it right there.
I have it, but
Mr. Thomas, I think the question, your answer is yes. We made $599,576.
Okay, and we're...
That's the surplus. As of January 1.
Correct.
Now, January 2 and
But
forward
January 2
is different.
2017.
That's right. This is a January 1,
Correct.
or January 31.
So our reserves went up $600,000.
Our extra, yes.
And we're going to pay out 300 and whatever for the bonds, so our reserves are up $300,000.
Whatever the bond payments and the other payables are. Whatever the bond payments and the other payables are,
right,
will come off that.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Kendrick?
That's okay, I think.
Okay. Any other questions? Do I get a motion to pass for read resolution, assign this resolution a number and read for passage?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion?
Well, I'm the only one that's excited about the surplus, I guess. But, you know.
Well, it may not last long, so.
That's why we're not excited.
Yes, look at the number right now.
All right, so let's see. We got a motion to assign a number and read for passage.
So moved.
Oh, you already did.
Yes, okay.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Adamson?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick?
Yes.
6-0. The resolution number will be 713. A resolution amending the 2016 adopted budgets for the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas for the year 2016, appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein and for other purposes. Whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas has determined that it is in the best interest of the city to amend the adopted budgets of the city, and whereas certain anticipated revenues and expenditures did not occur as previously budgeted. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that Section 1, this resolution shall be known as the Clean Up Amended Budget Resolution for the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas for the year 2016, and the attached 2016 budget documents present the actual revenues, expenditures, and appropriation adjustments for the period. Section 2, the amounts for each expenditure classification in the amended budget are hereby approved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and they are hereby authorized and appropriated for the purposes set forth for the calendar year ending December 31, 2016. Revenues, money in, and appropriations, money out. General fund, revenues, $3,419,301. Money out, that is appropriations, $3,028,443. The street fund, in, $737,082. Out for the street fund, $547,453. In for lot fee, $283,668. Out, $308,412. Capital fund, in, $214,751. Out, $202,131. For the debt service, in, $1,322,470. Out, $1,302,351. District Court automation, in, $6,502. Out, $3,994. For the Fireman's Pension Fund, in, $71,551. Out, $93,206. Municipal court retirement, in $1,169, out $13,531. Water and sewer fund, in $1,564,190, out $1,367,599. Transit fund, in $1,226,924, out $1,380,912.
Thank you. All right. Our next, thank you, Lonnie, very much.
Quite well.
Our next item of business is the council minutes process by Mr. Mitchell.
I agree with zoning, but we can go to rezoning.
I
Zoning of 38.
thought that was under old business.
It is.
Is it?
Council process is next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to discuss.
Second?
Okay.
I had the opportunity to discuss the minutes, and I asked our city attorney some questions. And he made an interesting observation, and I'd like to clarify a few things. One, we have a council meeting. The council meeting then has approval of the agenda or approval of the minutes. And in discussing this with our city attorney, he mentioned that he has observed a lot of other places through the municipal league or whatever that do not necessarily approve the minutes at the next meeting. Instead, they say the minutes are pending, and then they move them to a meeting after that. So the eventual approval of the minutes are 2 meetings away from the actual meeting that took place. This allows time for people on the council, because they represent our meeting minutes, to have time for any person at the table that's a council member to review the minutes, decide if they match what's said or not, and then have a discussion with the city clerk, and then hopefully rise at a resolution so that the minutes are reflective of what the council at the table felt they were. And that gives us time. And every council person sitting at this table has the right to look at those minutes. At the same time, our attorney also mentioned to me that sometimes our minutes have been used in legal cases and have been beneficial as far as the discussion. But if you look back at Robert's rules, pretty much it says that the minutes are pretty much if a motion was made and then if it was passed, and so they're pretty slim. So what I guess I'm going to phrase this question to the attorney, because I didn't ask him that night. Instead of having a lot of discussion and going to more bare bones minutes, what if we said, when the discussion is lengthy, we said discussion refer to the video of the meeting for the depth of the discussion, and then we just go to the motion. That then ties the video to the minutes and would answer the question of any legality or litigation that might arise in an area that the YouTube video or the video itself is now become part of the body of the minutes by referring to it. That might help some with the discussion. And I just wanted to ask you that question.
I think it would be appropriate to reference the video at times.
Okay.
The problem that might arise, the problem that has arisen to some extent, is the minutes themselves are the actual document that most courts have looked at in the past. There have been a few occasions, not with city council minutes that I'm aware of, but with a couple of the other commissions that are videotaped, that when we went back to look several years later, we couldn't find the video. The minutes are much more protected. Hopefully the video is protected at this point going forward, but years ago the video was on VHS tape.
Sure.
And I don't think any of that has ever been converted.
Okay.
And some of that has a tendency, as some of you may have seen at your homes, to deteriorate at a fairly regular rate over about a 20, 25-year period. So you would have to make sure and we have went back, believe it or not, into the 60s since I've been the city attorney. I've been the city attorney since a little after 2000, around 2000. So you go back sometimes pretty in depth looking for legislative history. And that's what the minutes are good for. That's what the video would be good for. Also is to establish legislative history for a court of why a particular point was made or why a particular vote went the way it did. But there's no perfect system.
Okay, so then the question, are minutes, are videos now on a DVD? Yeah. They're put on a DVD. So if we reference in the minutes, the video or the DVD of the meeting as being included for our discussion, then would not a copy of that DVD then could go with those minutes for the future? And then that would solve that problem? They would be protected?
I would suggest, yes, if you're going to reference them, you would attach them to that particular minute.
That, I think if you reference in the discussion the DVD, and then that has become referenced in the minutes, I think it helps a lot with the discussion, and I think it makes a much better document of what took place with the minutes, and it might alleviate some it may alleviate some differences of opinion. Just a thought.
Mr. McClellan?
Well, the videos are, I guess the right term is uploaded to YouTube. I mean, then that just kind of leaves them hanging out there for forever, doesn't it? Pretty much.
I don't know how the YouTube works. I don't know if that's forever or not, probably.
Introducing a video that had been through YouTube, that if you only wanted to use the YouTube copy, would probably have evidentiary problems of being admitted into a court, because what's on the tube out there is subject to someone else
manipulating.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Kendrick?
Right.
I don't believe that would be the only form of the meeting. The YouTube would not be the only form. We would keep in our official records the DVD of the meetings.
Well, I didn't infer that. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Okay.
I was just saying that if somebody absconds with the video, it's out there. You know, if the one that gets lost out of the file, you can go to YouTube and say, I found it.
Ms. Adamson?
Well, what I was going to say before was I had spoken to Dave Schoen at the Municipal League, and his attitude was about the minutes was a spare kind of reportation of the meeting. However, that's what he liked. He preferred that for the minutes. However, I particularly like to see the what happened, the drama that took place, or the lack of drama that took place in describing this, because I don't think unless this is going on DVD, which I don't know if it is or not, we have a record that feels fairly accurate, and that there's tweakings that have to go on with this is not really what happened. We need to change that, and speaking to Ms. Armstrong via email about correcting the minutes would be the best way. That's my opinion about how it should go.
Ms. Kendrick?
I still believe that we should follow Robert's Rules of Order and report only what was done, not that was said, because truly, if we incorporated into the minutes everything that was said, they would truly go on much longer than they currently do. At this point in time, only bits and pieces are getting into the minutes of what was said. And so I think that we should be following Robert's Rules of Order.
Mr. Mitchell?
I think the DVD, as Councilman Page says, it does bring a lot into the minutes, and it gives us the legal coverage that we need for any potential litigation. It reduces a lot of narrative and conflict and confusion and everything else about them, and I think would make them a lot easier. So therefore I make a motion that City Council include a DVD of all council meeting minutes into the minutes of that meeting as appropriate, making reference to them so that they're included for history.
Second.
Mr. McClung?
Are the minutes transcribed onto some kind of hardware, computer hardware or something, and stored that way?
They're stored on the computer.
Okay. So, I mean, are you going to store the video on the computer with those as well? I'm not.
I'm thinking it's just a reference to. Ms. Armstrong?
The minutes are...
Point of order, Your Honor.
Okay. I recognized her if she has a direct bearing on the minutes. Ms. Armstrong?
The reason the minutes are written the way they are?
No.
No, wait, just hang on. Hang on. The first sentence is intended to express why the person brought the subject to the table. So it's a quick intro. When you see a list of things that were discussed, that is for the purpose of being able to say, for somebody doing research on a topic, I have the floor. I have the floor.
Point of order, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. Point.
The clerk is not a member of the council, and I don't think that she should be contributing to the council deliberations.
She has a point of order, and she's correct.
But I make a motion that absolutely nobody is allowed to speak at this table except us six and you. Good Lord.
Mickey, I'm ruling that you're right in the point of order. Now, you can overrule my point if you want, but the council's right.
I make a motion that we let her explain so everybody understands.
All right. Did somebody want to make a motion to overrule my...
I make a motion that we allow other people to explain, whether it's Ann on this or somebody else on anything. It doesn't matter.
My point of order, okay. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of overruling my motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Aye.
I got a question before I vote. Mr. Mayor, what is it I'm voting on?
The question is, I ruled that as Ms. Kendrick says, her point of order was that the city clerk is not sitting at this table and has a voice of the discussion. And she's correct. This is by the city council. The city council members are the ones who can speak at this table.
But we can make an exception, and that's what this vote is for.
That's correct.
And so the motion is to allow her to speak.
Correct.
Aye.
Okay, I think we had a motion. Go ahead. You're going to read your...
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Ms. Adamson?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Abstain.
Ms. Kendrick?
No.
Okay, 4-2. All right. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Call for a recess.
Second.
All right, there's a motion made for call for a recess. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Is there not any discussion on that?
Not really. It's a priority motion.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not that
I know.
knowledgeable about Robert's orders.
Is there a
rules.
time limit on that?
It's 5 minutes.
All right. So motion made to have a 5-minute recess?
We need to have a roll call. If you're treating it as an extraordinary motion.
Okay.
Are we voting on the motion to recess?
For recess, correct.
Mr. Mayor, point of order. Mr. Bixel's motion did not include a time limit, so I think he needs...
There's a 5-minute time limit.
I added it, and she seconded it again.
Yes,
Because
second.
you asked, you
There's a
brought it up.
5-minute
Thank
time
you.
limit for the recess.
Ms. Kendrick,
Yes.
Ms. Adamson,
No.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Schneider,
No.
Mr. McClung,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
4-2.
Okay. Adjourn for 5 minutes. What? All right, we're back and from recess. Madam Clerk, you were going to make a discussion on the minutes?
The minutes are kept on DVD. They're also kept on the clerk's computer. They're also in red books that allow a person to go back and check through history and see how the culture was working at the time an ordinance was written. So those are the 3 forms that are maintained, plus they're put on the city website. So the actual recording is on the city website and on a physical disc for people's research beyond what they read in the minutes.
Mr. McClung?
How long does it stay on the city's website? Is that in perpetuity?
As far as I'm aware.
Mr. Mitchell?
I think the addition of building in the approval of the DVD and the agenda and the minutes, along with potentially following, not potentially, but with following Robert's Rules of Order in regards to the structure of the minutes, and potentially even possibly mentioning the availability of the DVD instead of narrative discussion, so that it is definitely in there for legality, would make a much better record of the minutes. And do we have a motion now?
No, you want to, I don't think there is.
So I'll go ahead and make it, and that'll get it. Oh, I'm sorry. Tim, wanted to get together.
Mr. Weaver?
I would ask that you not go to completely just the very bones of all. And the reason is as the clerk mentioned, one of the resources that we have available right now, if we have a lawsuit, or if we have someone that comes in and questions something at City Hall, is she has a computer with those minutes on it. And if you can hit a key word or two and pick up a suggestion from those, you can sometimes come to a lot quicker notion of what you're really looking for to go to the DVD on. Now, I'm not telling you to record every word on the computer disk at all. Are we off? But if you can put a little more than just the absolute bare bones in place, it because sometimes you have a topic that carries over for 8 or 9, 10, 12 council meetings. And if you're looking for something specific, you don't want to watch 12 DVDs or 12 20-minute discussions if you know something specific that was said at a particular meeting. And so if that's kind of outlined a little bit thorougher than just your absolute bare bones, it makes it easy. I'll retract that.
Ms. Kendrick?
We agreed at the beginning of the year that we would follow Robert's Rules of Order, and all of this is departures from that, and I do not see a good reason to do that. Simply being able to search the minutes so that you can find the appropriate set, I don't think is a good reason to depart from Robert's Rules of Order. I think there are other ways of finding things.
Ms. Schneider?
I'm going to reiterate again, Robert's Rules is old. Now, what I would like to know from the city attorney is, is it possible, legally possible, to make a comment, a resolution, a law, whatever you want to make it, a working council law, the beginning of each year, like we do every January, we go through and we accept this, that, and the other. Could we take it at that time and say, from this point forth, all minutes, when we reference minutes, will include the DVDs, the red book, the yada yada, everything that the minutes are tied into. Can we make that in January when we do our procedure? Could we make that as a one-time commentary with the stipulation that this is what we mean every time we say approval of the minutes?
I wouldn't do that, because what you're doing a little bit by incorporating your DVDs already is a little bit out there cutting edge. And to do that would be even more beyond that cutting edge. You'd be asking a court to accept something that they can't really fall back and say we've already done it in some other court.
Okay, I'm confused.
I don't know of any court that necessarily, or any council that necessarily attaches every video to their minutes. But I think you can probably do that, especially if you reference it each time. But if you don't reference it each time, you're getting further out from the norm, from what other cities do and what judges are expecting to see. I mean, hopefully we never get sued again and we never need another minute or another DVD. But that's unrealistic. So rather than have a judge have to go too far out from the norm, I would, if you're going to attach the DVDs as part of your true and original record, I'd do it each and every time.
Okay, the way we talked about adding it to minutes and DVD?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, as Mr. Mitchell has said, attaching in particular, when there's a long discussion, see DVD for discussion.
Ms. Adamson, did you have your hand
Well, I
up?
think it feels like there's a lot of checks and balances here with we have the written minutes, we have it on DVD, it's in the clerk's computer, it's in a red book, it's on the city website, that there's a lot of cross-referencing there for anyone who wanted to do that. I understand what you're talking about with the Robert's Rules of Order. But I sometimes feel that the kind of redacting that you had done on the minutes was kind of really bare bones. I wouldn't know what the heck went on unless I went back and checked the video. So I kind of feel that the way the clerk recorder is doing the minutes for the rest of her tenure is okay by me. That's all I want to say.
Ms. Kendrick?
Including in the minutes what was said is going to be of necessity incomplete. And I think as hard as the clerk may try to make sure that it's balanced, if you do not include every little thing in there, it is going to be incomplete. Therefore, I think it's much wiser to follow Robert's Rules of Order and put in only what was done, not what was said.
Mitchell.
Since I pulled my motion a while ago, I'd like to make a motion that where City Council handles the approval of the minutes, that we also add approval of the minutes and the meeting DVD,
And I'll second.
and also include it as pertinent in discussion for various topics. The
I
attorney
might
said
be
that.
confused, but I second that.
Thank you.
I'm a little confused. Are you, in your motion, are you saying following Robert's Rules of Order and have a basic in the minutes?
I didn't do that part. I left Roberts out. You're right. I dropped that part. I think I just went with the approval of the minutes and the DVD, and then in discussion referencing the DVD. I didn't add at that point that we follow Robert's rules. I did not add that to the motion.
Okay, Mr. Kendrick, I guess we're on,
I don't think
you
he-
seconded.
I second it.
Okay.
And I don't think that he needs to add following Robert's Rules of Order, since we've already approved that. This would just be an addition to the procedures concerning the minutes.
All right, just making sure I understand. Mr. McClung?
Could I get the clerk to read out what she's transcribed since we came back from recess?
Okay, Madam, well, she can reread the minute, a motion.
Multiple comments and a motion that was, I would actually have to take it word for word from the DVD because it makes no sense to me.
Well, I'm not sure what the motion is. I'd like to have it.
All right,
I need to understand.
can you rephrase restate your motion for
Yes.
clarity?
Refer to that line and just say we're adding and DVD.
Would you pull your second?
I have the second.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
pulling the
sorry.
second.
You pulling the second. I'm
Yes.
pulling my motion, and I'm ready to make a new motion. For the city council meetings, approval of the minutes, henceforth, we also add approval of the minutes and DVD of the meeting.
Period.
And during discussion of various topics as pertinent, the discussion will reference the DVD. That covered what he wanted.
Or does that need to be separate?
Discussion.
It depends on how many are still confused.
The line is simple, and DVD, we add that. Does that second
Did
part
you-
need to be separate, or?
Did we
I
get-
prefer the second part to actually be there.
Okay, that's what we're asking.
With
So
your
The
I'm-
question is whether
so
the
I'm
council
seconding.
understands it.
I'm seconding then what he said.
Thank
Because if we
you.
go back and play this DVD in the courtroom in a year, you're going to have to be able to defend whether you understand it or not. Your comment a minute ago when you made your second would have defeated that.
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because your opinion is the one that matters.
And that's why I added it.
Right, and that's why I seconded.
Mr. McClung?
I would like to hear it again before I vote on it, because I'm sure, I'm still not exactly sure that I've got it correct in my head.
Okay. Ms. Kendrick, did you have a,
Not right now.
okay.
This isn't a motion. I'm just saying what I said.
Okay.
Reiterating.
When city council comes up to the point where it says approval of the minutes, henceforth, it would say approval of the minutes and the DVD of the council meeting, and in any pertinent discussion topics under discussion, we would also add refer to the DVD. And that was a suggestion that the attorney had, which not only includes the DVD under the approval of the minutes, but it ties the DVD in as pertinent to various topics under new business or unfinished business, and gives us more legal standing.
So if I understand this correctly, then when the mayor says, would someone make a motion to approve the minutes and everything else you just said, he's got to say that whole thing? Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. Just
Then
has to say
I'm not
approval of
sure
the
I
minutes and the DVD. That's what it'll show. On the council meeting minutes, it'll say approval of minutes in DVD. That's all it'll say up there.
Mr. Kendrick?
Do I understand this to mean that the minutes will actually say within the minutes, is this what the city attorney intended, that the minutes will say within the city, within the minutes at pertinent points that may result in litigation will also refer to the DVD?
Only if that is interjected in that meeting.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Thomas?
This all started because of the subjectivity. I like this in the minutes, I don't like that in the minutes. So when you say include the pertinent points, you're right back to the same situation. What the city clerk considers to be pertinent might be something that I don't consider to be pertinent, that Terry considers to be very pertinent.
I also talked with David Schoen, and David told me that he likes to keep it simple. And similar to what Robert's rules, you make the motion, who made the motion, what the motion was, whether it passed and who voted on it and who voted against it. Now, I'm assuming what the conversation is when we get into, because of the DVD, we're adding the DVD to the minutes. And if we're talking about the minutes, then we say see the DVD for further elaboration.
No, I'm just saying the written minutes. Written minutes, somebody's going to say, well, I don't think this is pertinent, or you left out something that I thought was pertinent.
That's the reason David said he likes to keep it simple.
Yeah, right.
Because without, contrary to, I know Miss Adamson likes to see all the chaos and confusion and everything that's going on in the minutes. I mean, a lot of us like to read those, but, this isn't a novel.
It's a narrative.
It's not a novel. These are minutes of the meeting. And the minutes of the meetings are what the motion is, who voted for it, and the outcome of it. Keeping it simple. And we're adding the DVD so people who can see the elaboration of the conversation. Okay, Mr. Mitchell.
And that should then help keep the minutes simple, because you just say see the DVD, so you don't have to go through all that subjectivity and all that. I think if you want it, it's there. Look at the DVD, but it's not in the minutes, so maybe that would help with the pertinent. I don't. Maybe it will. So I think
it gets more objective if you
go to the DVD.
We're not constantly
yes.
battling about minutes.
I hope that, and then
hours.
as Councilman Adamson say, if you want to see the drama, there it is.
It's not.
Yeah, you said that.
Mr. City Attorney, if while we are discussing a topic and we reference, see the DVD or whatever, can we eliminate that other part from our motion of adding DVD to the minutes? That whole secondary part, can we just make sure that every time we have this discussion thingy going? I'm trying to make things so much easier. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think the clerk could add that when there's a lengthy discussion.
Okay, I mean, do we at the table, do we have to say something to reference it?
No, but I think you have to approve the minutes, and it has to be in the minutes. And you have to
Okay, we
approve
don't have
it.
to say that, it has to be there.
And when you make your approval, you have to approve the video also being attached each
Right,
time.
that's what I'm saying.
But that's one time each time.
So if we have approval of the minutes and DVD, that would be sufficient so long as all of us and/or the city clerk reference the DVD in regards to minutes at some point. Okay.
Ms. Kendrick?
I would like to amend the motion so that it reads that in the future, the approval of the minutes will also include an approval of the videotape of that meeting.
I thought it did. When I said approval of minutes and
That's,
DVD.
no, but not the pertinent, leave out the part about the
That's what I was just
Exactly, and that's what I was
So all he
trying
has
to...
to do is amend
Hold on
his
here.
thing.
Before I ask for a second, I'm going to ask Mr. Weaver, he must have some objection here.
Well, to preserve the original motion that Mr. Mitchell made and to allow it to be amended, at this point, Mr. McClung's question a little bit ago takes precedence over what's going on according to Robert's rules. And Mr. Mitchell did a very good job of trying to explain what he meant by his motion. No, but the rules actually require Madam Clerk to reread the motion exactly word for word in order to preserve it for the record.
But if we withdraw our motion, we don't have to do that again?
Well-
And then reword it?
You're going to have to get her to
Withdraw the amendment?
either withdraw the amendment
I will
or it fails because it doesn't get a second.
I will withdraw the amendment at this time.
Now, I will withdraw my second, you withdraw yours and reword approval of the minutes and DVD, period.
If that's what you want.
No.
Otherwise, if you want to just preserve his motion, it's just got to be read word for word. You can explain it, but you also got to read it according to the rules before you vote it.
I thought you just said we didn't have to have that part added.
Well,
No, what he's saying is totally different. He's saying
I
Madam
made
Clerk's got to...
my motion based off of
Right,
his
And I
judgment.
think he just said that we didn't actually have to have that there.
I have a question. By Robert's rules, doesn't the mayor read the motion?
the mayor either reads it or directs the recorder to.
Oh, well, let's stick with the rules.
Uh-oh.
Have fun.
Let's stick with Robert all the way.
Okay, well, I'm still... Mr. McClung?
I think we should watch the DVD.
Yeah, let's table this to the next meeting and watch the DVD.
Can we read the motion and move on here, please?
Yes. Although I don't know whether the clerk's going to read the motion or not.
So you withdrew your amendment. You withdrew,
I said I would if he was going to withdraw his other part. If he's not, then it just stands.
He's still back on the
so
original
his
motion.
revised amendment, you are not withdrawing your second.
Not unless he wants me to.
So that is what's on the table. And that's what needs to be repeated for Mr. McClung's question to be answered. And then you guys can go back to amending or whatever you want to do. But to preserve the question, it needs to be read for Mr. McClung's enjoyment.
And that's what I'm asking you to read, please, ma'am.
The part I understood was that Mr. Mitchell made a motion to add approval of the minutes and the DVD. I did not understand all the that went along with it.
You want to write out your minute? Restate?
No, I will speak clearly and distinctly and slowly, and hopefully we'll get through this.
Okay.
Right. Just to preserve, in case you misword it this time from last time, I'd withdraw, and then make your motion.
Please.
And that way it will be absolutely your motion.
I withdraw my second.
I withdraw my motion.
Okay, and make a new motion.
My new motion is for council meetings, when it comes time to approve the minutes, it will include,
Slow down.
for council meetings, when we come to approval of the minutes, it will now read approval of the minutes.
Slow down. I don't do shorthand.
Let me know when you're ready.
It will now read what?
Approval of the minutes and the DVD of the council meeting.
Stop. Okay.
And for topics of discussion,
Stop. Okay.
the DVD can be referred to, may be referred to.
Okay. Now, do we have a second?
Second. I didn't know you were done.
Now, does everybody understand the motion?
I'm ready to have her read it, as soon as she's ready. I want to hear her read it, so let's...
I think I'm allergic to
Okay.
flowers. Oh, good, sweet.
Madam Clerk, could you read the motion, please?
I think
Oh,
there's
you don't want
something
to?
I'm allergic to.
Okay.
Could be the
For
movie.
council meetings, when we come to the approval of the minutes, we'll read approval of the minutes and the DVD of the council meeting, and for topics of discussion, the DVD may be referred to.
Understand the motion? Does everybody understand the motion? Any further comments? Discussion? All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
5-1.
I don't hear Mr. Thomas.
Oh, I said aye.
He said, yeah.
And you were no, and you were a?
Yeah.
Okay. We're one.
All right.
Thank you. I mean, 5-1.
All right, thank you. We struggled through this minutes here. All right, our next item of the business is unfinished business is the auditorium meeting space. We have Ms. Kendricks and Mr. Mitchell.
Motion to discuss.
Second?
And I'd like to refer to, because we put this on there for you, Peg, so because you
Awesome.
weren't, please, it's your...
It's your topic, please speak
I'm not
on
going
to
to
it.
speak to it. I'll give it to you.
Can I, if I can, and Peg can, since she kind of jumped the gun a little bit.
Oops.
We came up at the office last week, this being Monday, last week, we were talking about whether or not it could be done physically and with the video cameras. And so we took Don Matt over there, and Kim and I, and Peg was here, and Don and Kim actually went over and set up tables and chairs. And they're still set up over there. Don Matt at first thought that it physically wouldn't be able to happen because of the being able to use the camera and being able to film in the lobby. Now, this is a temporary situation. This is not a permanent situation, but on a temporary basis, we did made a design that could work if this is what the council would like. They have a place that we can store the camera. Now, we will not be on live. This is something that will be taped and broadcast later on, whether it's in the evening or whether it may be the next day. That's part of the problem with doing this. So it's a workable situation for right now. I think we had 15, how many chairs do we end up with? 15? 15 chairs.
I mean, extra besides ours?
Besides us. 15 for citizens. Of course, there's standing room. It's going to be a little awkward, but it can be done. We didn't do the main auditorium because the other issue that comes up is the heating and cooling. In order to be able to heat and cool adequately the main lobby, it's going to take a lot longer time to be able to turn it on, and also therefore a lot more expense because we're heating and cooling a huge volume of air as opposed to the lobby. Rick is here, he's the auditorium manager, I guess, and I think if I'm misstating something, come up. We're trying to, keep the utilities down. We've got, I want to say, 38. How many? What did we come up with the utility cost on the auditorium?
I think it was
30. I want to say $38,000 a year in utility costs. But anyway, we're still looking at. Mr. McClung and I went up to Dr. Beard's office across from the hospital, and I have a layout. I'm waiting for a cost estimate from a contractor to see what can happen up there. That could be a permanent situation. We own the building. There's seating that I've laid out for approximately 40 people up there. But we've since come up also with the possibility of using the basement of the transit facility. I'm still looking into that and seeing how much space seating that would allow us. Both those places are handicap accessible and can be ADA compliant. Dr. Beard's office will probably take a lot more money to remodel because there's going to be a lot more demolition than what the transit would be. The transit has less demolition and a little bit less remodeling. But again, it's a building that the city owns, even though the federal government owns it in a sense. I mean, we could use it. We may have to pay rent. We haven't decided that one yet. Anyway. Mr. McClung?
How many constituent seating, what would the constituent seating be in the trolley?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to get that information now. What I have is hand drawing. It's just the space, and I've got to go in and just see.
The auditorium, I mean, all you're doing really is to basically doubling what we have here.
Yes.
And losing the opportunity for the public to see the meeting live. And I'm not sure that's a good trade-off.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's up to the council, and what I would like to suggest...
That's just I wanted to express my opinion in that respect.
And what I would suggest is, no matter what, I don't think any of us should make a decision tonight.
Of course.
And after the meeting, we can all adjourn and go back over to the auditorium and look at it so everybody can see what it's like for tonight. And then the next meeting, we can bring this up again and discuss it. I think that's pretty much the deal on that. Mr. Mitchell?
And I totally understand that. The auditorium, in a way, though, doesn't seem to be any more ADA compliant per se almost than here, because if somebody's in a wheelchair, then they have to go through that whole process.
Excuse me.
Yes,
the
sir.
only difference is they have ADA toilets and restrooms.
Okay, so that's a plus.
And
okay.
it has allowing more people, double, I don't know how many we got in here.
7.
So we maybe double and some standing people.
But it'll be nice to allow you the time to check the Dr. Beard's office and the cost, and also the transit, because those look to be two really ADA compliant and potentially more people. So those are good options that should be allowed to be explored.
As I said, this is anything the council wants to do with the auditorium is strictly on, I would suggest, on a temporary basis. Ms. Kendrick?
At the auditorium, is there, I know we have 15 seats, is there room to place more seats if we wanted to?
It could be, you can, but you run into what they call the ADA accessibility aisles.
Okay, aisles, yeah.
Ms. Schneider?
I want to say it was like 9 or 10 years ago that we originally looked at doing the transit building, because it is ours, it's got all that parking, it's ADA. And if I remember correctly, the problem with the downstairs, and I might be reversing it, having it the upstairs, because we had talked about moving the offices downstairs and utilizing the upstairs for all of our city stuff. So I might have them reversed, but it seems to me that the only problem we had with transit was the council would sit here, all the people watching only had a small doorway. Was that upstairs or downstairs?
The downstairs, but again...
Okay, so, let me just go ahead. I wanted to make sure I had it in the right order. So basically, for that room, all we'd have to do is take out the doorway, so to speak, make a hole. Would we also be able to move our live city stuff to there? Okay, this is the only place, no matter where we would... See, a lot of people, they love their beer and popcorn watching us.
The reason, and we've gone over this year after year after year, and I reiterate for the general public, there is I want to say a $20,000 or $30,000 cost, because the cable runs from roughly East Mountain over to the courthouse, the cable. There's a certain dedicated cable that comes in. It's not your typical TV cable. This is a cable for...
Output.
What?
Output.
Yeah. Even at the old school, it would be accessible, because they would have to reroute the same cable. Same thing with the transit, same thing with Dr. Beard's. Any place we go besides the auditorium, well, even here, even the auditorium is going to cost a bunch of money because they got to come in and move it.
Yeah.
With technology now, it seems like something like Skype or FaceTime or something else would be able to contemporaneously, broadcast.
We can't broadcast out on our TV station.
No, but there may be other ways that we could broadcast out.
Not that would be considered legitimate.
Well, we
is.
can still tape it, and we just can't do it live at this time with the camera and setups that we have.
Popcorn for lunch.
Mr. McClung?
You can do
Popcorn.
live Facebook or something like that. I mean, you can
My point.
just sit there and do it. Somebody can. I mean, you could. It can
Well,
be, that
again,
kind of
I'm-
thing can be done.
Yeah,
I mean,
again,
it's
I'm not sure.
pretty
about the-
amateur, but
Yeah. So, Mr. Thomas?
We need to make accommodations for disabled citizens. So I would like not to adjourn, but to go over and take a look tonight so that we can come back and vote to move next week.
Mr. Thomas, we've been dealing with this for 10 years.
Pardon? I know, we've been waiting for 10 years.
And this isn't a problem with ADA accessibility for this room. The only difference between this room and the auditorium is the bathrooms.
Well, that makes a big difference to me if I was...
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you, but
Yeah, right.
I mean, but accessibility,
Right.
and what I'm hearing is people want to be able to sit in these rooms, and these are not handicapped. The people that I'm hearing are, that just want to be able to sit in these rooms.
Right, and I know 15 is a limited number, but it's a temporary situation.
Yeah. Mr. Weaver?
I'm not advocating whether you come back and take a vote or not, but I think what Mr. Thomas is saying about doing it as part of your meeting tonight may be beneficial to you, because if you, at this point, complete your meeting and then all go over there, you could potentially be charged with an FOIA violation because the press has to be notified 2 hours in advance. So I hope the meeting's not going to last another 2 hours, even though we have the press here now. It would technically be a violation.
Even if we took them with us?
If you were going into a new meeting.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
If you're still in this meeting and you go over there, I think you're okay.
You better come.
Mr. Mitchell?
I understand what Mr. Thomas is saying. I personally would like to wait and have the assessment of the transit center, Dr. Beard's office, and the auditorium, and one more meeting to have that assessment. And then if we need to do show and tell, we could go to all three places in some form or fashion. The press will know, and it's just 2 weeks. So I would like to wait.
Yeah.
Mr. McClung?
either the transit or Dr. Beard's office would not be available until sometime after the first of the year.
Correct.
So, I mean, they're not going to be an immediate occupancy position anyway.
Why not transit?
Well, if you got to go in there and do a bunch of remodeling, it may not take that long, but Dr. Beard's office certainly will. He's not going to be out until the end of the year anyway. But it's a good spot.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, I guess, do I need to make a motion? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, we just can't do it without a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we continue our meeting and we go and visit the auditorium now, and then we come back and take a vote on whether or not to move temporarily to the auditorium.
Second.
Okay. Motion, discussion. Ms. Schneider?
Okay, I'm confused. Why would we go to severe expense in regards to moving someplace temporarily? What am I missing?
What is the expense?
Heating and cooling. We may own the building, but did you not hear what the mayor said?
Well, then the reason that you would go is because you have ADA breathing down your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to get them.
And we are working on, why can't we have them come up with all the scenarios, the prices, see what I'm saying? All the pros and cons of the three major places. And at the next meeting, we would have all of those numbers and figures, and then we could...
If we voted to go to the transit center, it would have to be under construction for several months. We need
Well,
to
that's
do
what we
something
would
now.
find out, but that's what I'm saying. If we may appoint someone,
Right.
mayor and whoever, to go and give us prices and scenarios,
Okay.
then we would have a better idea. We can look at it. I mean, we should be able to say yes without hearing on the others.
Mr. McClung?
We have some concerned citizens that would like to see us move. I don't think ADA is breathing down our necks.
Ms. Kendricks?
Perhaps I misunderstood you. I'd like some clarification on this. I understood the great expense of heating and air is if we used the stage in the auditorium proper, that there wasn't going to be some great expense if we simply used the lobby. Is that correct? No? Okay.
If you want to come up and, yeah, just easier. Yeah.
Even the snack area, the lobby would, I guess you would call it, it's serviced by the big unit in the back. And in order to heat and cool that multiple days, currently we keep it on 80 when we're not in there, but it takes us 3 days to cool it down. In the wintertime, we keep it on 55. And we still have about $35,000 worth of electric bills. So if you start pumping that thing back there, I mean, when we have a winter concert, it can cost $8,000 to heat that place for one concert. So it's a big expense. Now, I'm not saying you don't need to do it or you don't need to look at it. I'm just saying there isn't a separate heating and air unit for the space up above. However, if you do go into the theater, that kicks in the second big unit for the stage. Both units cool the inside. Only the east unit cools part of the inside and this concession area. So it's not split out to where you can just cool the concession area for your meetings. You have to run the big unit.
Mr. Mitchell?
Thank you.
Picking up from Alderman McClung, the city leases our space in the courthouse. The courthouse is owned by the county. The county is, the attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, obligated to meet the ADA, not the city. We're the leasee. So if this area is not meeting ADA compliance, then how could they be breathing down the city so fast that we
I think, Mr. Mitchell, I don't want to interrupt you, but I think that's off the tangent of what the motion was. I think the
I'm sorry, what?
When the motion was to go over, would you read the motion? I'm sorry, make sure.
Mr. Thomas' motion was to continue the meeting after going over to look at the odd and then taking a vote about moving there temporarily.
Okay.
And Ms. Adamson did second.
So that's really the motion that we're discussing. We got any further discussion on that? Ms. Schneider?
I just don't think it's appropriate to spend a lot of money to make a temporary move when we don't have all of our facts and figures
Well,
in.
that's not the motion right now.
Well, it deals directly with that
Mr.
motion.
Thomas?
Is it possible to ask our ADA liaison person how she feels about the fact that we need to do something soon, or I said ADA breathing down our necks.
We're still discussing whether or not we should continue, take a break and continue going over to look at the meeting and then come back.
Okay, but my point is...
We can discuss that when we come back.
Okay, I'll discuss it when we come back.
Okay?
we come back.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to take a break and go over to the auditorium and look at the auditorium setup and reconvene in
We can look
15
Thursday.
minutes?
Be there.
I think the motion is to continue the meeting over there, not to take a break. It's to,
Yeah, to continue the meeting.
okay, that's just, I just wanted to make,
That was,
understood.
your motion was to continue the meeting.
Yes.
Over
Not
there?
over there.
Yeah.
Not to adjourn, but to go over there as a part of this meeting and then come back here.
Yeah, yeah. And come back here.
To finish the meeting.
Because of the television, they're going to be missing us for about 15 minutes.
So is that roll call vote?
Probably. Ms. Schneider?
But we're going to be there Thursday morning. Why can't we look at it then?
Because the motion's been made. All right, I'm going to call for a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Oh, guess we better have a roll call on that.
Just wait.
no. I said no.
Who's
I think we better have a roll call.
2-4 rather. No, 4-2. No. I
Okay,
hate dyslexia.
All right.
the vote for Mr. Thomas' motion, Mr. McClung,
No.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Adamson,
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick,
No.
Ms. Schneider,
No.
Mr. Mitchell,
No.
2-4.
I'm glad you had Mr. Thomas' motion. I didn't want him voting on Mr. Thomas. Yes,
Mr. Thomas, you gotta go.
Okay. All right.
Yes, we can look Thursday.
Well, I still think that, okay, we got any other motions?
I thought that was the end of that topic.
Well, it pretty much is right now. All right. We got a 38 Prospect.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Last meeting, council sent back to the planning to see if the CUP would be an option. The planning commission addressed it and recommended that the council vote on the rezoning since it was already on the second reading. If it fails, the CUP is a possible solution, and then that will be brought up to the council, to the planning commission, for any questions.
It was never read.
It was on the second reading. I don't think it was ever voted on. It read for the first reading.
No, sir.
It's never been read for the first reading?
Nope.
Okay, Mr. McClung?
Before it was sent to us, did the planning commission not have a hearing as a CUP? Did you not do that first?
You want to come up and
Answer questions.
Stand up.
Terry, Mr. McKimmey applied for a rezoning. He never applied for a CUP.
And why did he choose that route?
I don't know. I think he wanted commercial property.
No one suggested it to him to reapply for the CUP?
That wouldn't be the planning commission's job. I think that would be the city's job. I mean, Terry, anybody is allowed in this city to apply for what they want.
Sure, I understand that.
And he chose to apply for rezoning.
He got direction, I assume he got direction to do that from someone, I can't imagine. Because the CUP is what he lost.
No, he lost a grandfather.
Okay.
And I think, Mr. McClung, and I may be totally mistaken, I think there was a mistaken thought that because there were some other CUPs, the old Episcopal parsonage was granted a CUP, that there wasn't going to be allowed a CUP, but that is a separate type. It's not a lodging CUP. It's a CUP
Right.
for education or
Right.
to what it's for.
Can I explain? When the planning commission got the application for rezone, we thought that the Lane House across the street, I guess that's what it was called, had a CUP. We also thought that 42 Prospect, which was their neighbors, had an occupation license and that they were using it to run a gallery. All across the street was C3, so we figured, okay, it's basically, it is all commercial up there. That's why we made the recommendation to the city council to rezone it. When it came here, y'all asked questions about 42, and I said I would go and personally talk to them and see if they wanted to be rezoned so that, and I think you brought up spot zoning, Terry, and 42 was very adamant, or the wife that is the owner of the property wrote me a letter, and she was very adamant after I talked to her husband, who was positive about it, but she was very adamant she did not want to be rezoned. And so at the last meeting, there was not much of a quorum. So we made the suggestion for it to come back to planning to find out if a CUP, if this fails at the table, a CUP would be an option. And yes, it is an option.
Mr. Mitchell, do you have your hand up or
Well,
anything?
let y'all finish that first, and then I'll make a motion.
Okay. We did make a motion to rezone it, but then it got tabled until we contacted to see whether or not the property became commercial. And then the next time we made a motion to rezone both properties. And then, but we never made never read an ordinance to that effect.
Correct.
So those motions are, where are they? Gone?
Basically gone. So they really are up in the sense, I guess, to the planning commission, if they want to do the CUP.
Okay. So the motions have to be in the affirmative, correct? No? Yeah.
His response can only be in the
So
affirmative.
I can't make a motion to deny it. I have to make a motion that we approve, we approve the, and then.
There's actually we haven't read, this is not up, we haven't got an ordinance for discussion to make it, to rezone it. We had a motion to table it.
There is no ordinance with a number.
Correct.
It's never been read.
Yeah.
Right. Ms. Schneider?
So basically, what it comes, I'm allergic to one of her flowers there. I'm sorry, guys. That's what the coughing and scratching is about. So in a nutshell, what it comes down to is House A wants rezoning, House B does not. Some people don't like spot zoning. Some people don't like being unfair to other people. So it's one of those 6 of one and half a dozen of another. If one person wants rezoned and one doesn't, I don't see that we can make a group area decision. I think we need to go with the one. Simply because, for or against, but I don't see how we can force someone else into doing something they adamantly do not want to do just because somebody else wants to do something.
No, the question now is strictly only on, and I want to say 38 properties, General Jackson's old house.
That is 38?
And whether or not, basically what we did the last time, I think we just need clarification to the Planning Commission to go back and have the owner apply for a CUP.
Okay. Can I ask a question? The Planning Commission made a recommendation based on their application, and we voted to rezone it and bring it to you. Is that now dead?
Mr. McClung?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we deny making this a,
Rezoning?
deny the rezoning request based on spot zoning. I am concerned that if we spot zone this property, others are going to want the same kind of treatment, and I do not want to set that precedent.
Good motion.
I second.
All right. Further discussion? All right, all those in favor of denying this, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
I'll talk to Mr. McKimmey and ask him to apply for a cup.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Where are we now?
The setting, I think.
I think we're back down to agenda setting.
No, David had another.
I pulled that.
Deleted the code of conduct.
I deleted the code of conduct.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
I thought you added another agenda topic. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Nope. Let you have it down.
Nope, I don't.
All right, yes, ma'am.
I would like to add to the agenda codification of the ordinances.
Okay.
Oh, second.
Okay. Ms. Adamson? Ms. Payne?
I put Miss Payne,
Peg.
as in misspoke. I would like to add the other locations for meetings to the agenda.
The info on those, you mean?
Okay.
Info.
We should be able to.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
For you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Council and grants.
Oh,
Council and
I'll
grants.
second that for you too, sir.
Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit? Can you give me a hint what you're...
I'm wondering why we pass a grant if the people don't have to use it the way that we pass. That concerns me.
That's good.
Okay.
Wait a second.
Yes,
Second.
I seconded.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. City council comments. Mr. Mitchell?
No, I do not.
I have none.
Mr. McClellan?
The only thing I want to say is that City Council is not trying to obstruct anything in regards to ADA. We're really not. We want everybody to be here if they want to be here. I wished it was that simple. But unfortunately it's not, and it's a complicated deal. And at some point down the road we'll get there. It's just not, by tomorrow morning, it's just not going to happen. But, we all have those concerns. We're not any different than anybody else. We want what's good for everybody. That's all.
Mr. Thomas?
I think that the city had a surplus for 2016, and if we did, I would like to congratulate you for holding the expenses down as well as you did.
Well, that's just for 2016.
That's all you need. At least one day. Take it when you did it.
It looks better than what it probably is.
It looks better on January 1st.
Yeah. Ms. Schneider?
On behalf of my sons, I am announcing the death of my ex-husband. We met when I was 16. It's 50 years ago. And the boys have been through an awful lot. And yes, Roger Putz has died 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. That's it.
Our condolences go out to you and to your son. Ms. Pegg?
Well, this has been a really interesting meeting. I don't quite know what to make of it, but I hung in there, and everybody hung in there, and I'm happy about it. And all the people that came to listen and watch, you must be stunned. Thank you.
Somewhere I've got some mayor's, what did I do with it? Probably lost all of my comments and things. We got a lot of activities going on. I just don't know where they are now. Oh, come on. I lost them. I had them.
This page right
There we go. And this is important stuff, too. Believe it or not. And it's actually regarding our finance. There's information on the Eureka Springs website that we do have our finance documents on the website for your referral, including the 2017 approved city budget and the current financial report, which includes the bank balance sheets, the long-term indebtedness obligations, and tax collections. As soon as the mid-year budget adjustment is approved by the council, as it was tonight, no, it wasn't either. I take that back. What we did was approve the 2016. But as soon as the mid-year budget adjustment is approved, this will also be on the website. These documents should provide information on a lot of different inquiries that citizens have. If you have any questions regarding these documents or how to find the information you're looking for, don't hesitate to call. We're happy to assist. These documents may be found by going to the City Department tab on top of the website and then to the Finance Department where you'll find the links. So as far as what we have going on this week, we have our mid-year budget review workshop, 7/26, which is Wednesday, Thursday,
27th.
at 10 a.m. in the lobby of the auditorium. So I guess at that time we can see how the auditorium works on there. And the 7/28th, Comedy Magic Show with Mike Bliss. It's a benefit for the FOP Lodge number 81, which is 7 p.m. on the 28th. August the 4th and 5th. Oh, everybody's waiting for this one. It's yards and yards and yards and yards of yard sale. All day, both days, and it's all over Eureka Springs. And on the 5th, we have Diversity Weekend from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Basin Park. And on the 5th, we have the Drumming in the Park from 6 to 8. And the August 11th, 12th, 13th, the Eureka, which is all day, and it's all over Eureka Springs. So we'll have a lot of activities going on. And then also on the 12th, we have the second Saturday stroll from 6 to 8. All participating art galleries. And that's all I have. Get a motion to adjourn. So moved. Thank you all.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
As
Okay.
ever here, if it needs some work.
Yes.